Hello, leader friends. I am excited to be doing another talk tonight. Last week, I enjoyed speaking to you and getting to connect with people that I hadn't met before, which was awesome. So I'm looking forward to doing this again tonight, and I'm hoping that it will be helpful to you as we kind of go into the new year and think about what exciting and new things are coming in 2023. This week, we are going to talk about taking control of your days and looking for unexpected opportunities. We're going to talk a little bit about finding your niche. That's kind of like a big thing that everyone has to talk about. We're going to talk a little bit about my viewpoint on that and what I think you should do with that. But we're going to start with taking control of your days because this is obviously a really big deal. What do you look like on the day to day? How are you leading every single day? What does that look like? Because being a leader involves like controlling yourself and being in control of yourself. And you are not going to be able to lead other people if you aren't in control of yourself, obviously. One of the hardest things I think about being a good leader is being able to control your thoughts. Now, your thoughts control your feelings, and then your feelings control your actions. So, if you want to have a handle on what your actions are every day and what you're doing, how you're spending your day, you have to start with your thoughts. In a world where everything is out of control, so many things are beyond our control, we have no control over the different circumstances or things that are going on. It is so amazing to think about the fact that we alone have complete control of our thoughts. We get to control them. That's on us. Nobody else can control our thoughts. It's us. So if you see somebody who you would consider a good leader who has like a stellar game plan and they're just like out here like killing the game, I can guarantee you that they have learned how to control their thoughts because everything starts with your thoughts. If you want to control your days, you start with controlling your thoughts. If you want your day to be a train wreck from start to finish, then you let your thoughts wander. You think negative. You allow your thoughts to take over and control you. And this is what I mean. Well, obviously, none of us want that. None of us wake up and think, I hope that today's a train wreck. But I'm telling you right now that that's how it's going to start by letting your thoughts take control and take over. But it's also helpful to know that it starts the night before the day even starts. So this is what I mean. If you go to bed at night and you're thinking, I never do anything right, I just can't be successful no matter how hard I try, I already feel tired, I'm probably going to oversleep because I'm just drained already. I just posted a reel on Instagram. I bet it's going to do absolutely nothing. No one pays attention to me anyways. Am I even relevant? What is my point? What am I even doing? Those thoughts in my head are going to determine how I start my day when I wake up the next day. I'm already going to wake up feeling like I'm a total failure. I never succeeded at anything. My body's going to fail on me. My work is useless. These feelings are now going to translate into actions. Those actions are going to look like I'm going to work less hardly. I'm going to drag a little bit throughout the day when I get up. And as I'm doing things through the day, I'm going to put half effort in because I don't really believe anything's going to happen anyways. And what's the point of doing all of this? Every single thing is impacted and changes because of my thoughts. Do you see what I mean by that? It all starts in such a basic, simple way that we have control over. And it is so simple. It's almost like too simple. And we're like, no, it can't be that. So let me look for something deeper. No, it actually is that simple that's what it starts with. Our thoughts control our success. If you're going to write something down today, that's what it should be. Your thoughts control your success. Now, when I say success, this is one aspect that you and I might disagree on, or maybe we agree on, I'm not sure. But I'm going to tell you right now that I believe with all of my heart that our time on earth is a vapor, okay? We're here today, gone tomorrow. My life is not my own. I was bought with a price, and my purpose on earth is to bring glory to God. That's what I believe. I believe that success is defined by God, but that it is displayed by people in a very different way. Obviously, people define success, and we can also define success in this way, which is not necessarily bad, but we can define it in a way that says, if I have this much money in my bank account, then I've really kind of arrived. If I can get my husband to retire, if I have a lot of followers on Instagram, if I've written 3 books, we can go on. And there's constantly going to be things that we feel like this much education or this job promotion or whatever, that is successful. Well, God defines success completely differently. If I am fulfilling the purpose that God has called me to, then that's successful. And sometimes the ways that you're doing that are so not showy. So somebody else from the outside who doesn't have the same definition of success might look at you and feel like you're not successful, and you're just going to have to be like controlling your thoughts and be like, you know what, boo, I'm doing exactly what God wants me to do, and he's the one that determines what my success is and what success in general is, and I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. And it's going to look sometimes like not showy and not out there, but it is still going to be that you have achieved absolute success and are exactly where God wants you. Now, I want you to stick with me for a second here, because this is what the thing is. I think that people tend to get really, really stressed out and overthink, like, well, what is God's will in my life? What am I supposed to be doing? As if God has like one line on a piece of paper. And if we don't find that, then we're just going to be wandering for the rest of our lives and trying to find this mystical thing of like, what is God's will for my life? Now, this is what I believe. Okay. First of all, I believe that overthinking rarely leads to success. Overthinking rarely helps people. Okay. But here's what I believe. I believe that we need to know how God has gifted us, be aware of where God has placed us, and then use those gifts in the location he's placed me to love and serve others and bring glory to him. That's it. That is doing God's will. That's what he wants for me to do. That is being a successful leader, because his plan is going to be way better and way bigger than mine anyways. And thinking it and overthinking it and wondering if this is right or that is right, that is not beneficial to anybody. And it is impossible to be a good leader when you are consistently and constantly overthinking your own purpose and your own thoughts of what God's will is supposed to be or what you're supposed to be doing in life. That's not going to allow you to be a good leader to other people, because that is not being in control of your thoughts and understanding what it is that God wants you to do, how he wants you to do it. It's not going to be beneficial to anybody. All right. Okay, I'm going to give you action steps for this point, because I'm just going to only have 2 points today. So I'm going to give you action steps for this in a second. People are going to know your confidence level by your actions. Now, understand, they don't see your thoughts, they only see your actions. So they are going to look at your actions, and that is how they're basing what your thoughts are. Now, they don't necessarily know that. I don't necessarily always think that when I see somebody really successful, I'm like, man, I bet that their thoughts are this about themselves and that about others. I don't know that, but we know that, because that is where it's like the hub of everything. Everything starts with our thoughts. And so controlling that gives us the confidence that we need, that we're in the place that God has us. And then it allows us to be the leaders that we need to be to the people around us. And really, everybody's looking for a leader of some kind, all of us, because none of us are in a place in life where we have arrived at everything. I mean, none of us have arrived, period. But there are certain things that we feel like, okay, I have a pretty good handle on this. But there's many things that I feel like, oh, I wish I knew how to do that a little bit better. So all of us are looking for somebody to lead us in a certain area of our lives. And so by controlling our thoughts, getting those under control and establishing those and understanding who we are, speaking in positive ways about who God says we are and what we're supposed to be doing, will impact our actions, which will in turn make us a good leader to the people who are looking for a leader to follow. Nobody wants to follow a leader who's literally all over the place and can't, like, one day is depressed and the next day is up and the next day is like just anxious. Like, nobody needs that, because that's what everyone's already dealing with themselves. So they want somebody who has figured out a way to get their thoughts under control. Now, they don't know that. They're not thinking, I need to find somebody who has their thoughts under control. And that's like the power that we have, because the power is that we can control our thoughts, and people are going to be drawn to that, even though they don't know why. They're not knowing that it's our thoughts. They just know that we look like we have it all together. And then we are able to tell them and to teach them and to lead them to show them that they can have it too. Because isn't that the point? There is no point in anybody teaching leadership, talks, classes, conferences, writing books, nothing like that, anything like that. There's no point in that if that person just wants to kind of build themselves up. The point is that you're leading. And to be a leader means you have to have people following. Otherwise, you're not a leader. So this is what we are trying to do by establishing our thoughts. Okay, here's the action steps. This week, write down the thoughts you want to think. Now, this might seem silly, but just hear me out. Okay, so you're gonna write down things like this. I have seen so many people my age be successful. I know that I can be too. I am working so hard. I know my hard work is going to pay off. I am exactly where God wants me to be, which means he's going to equip me and help me if I let him. It is writing down things that you want to be thinking. You don't want to get up and think, I'm such a failure. I hate myself. I'm such a loser. Nobody wants to think that. Okay. But this is a discipline. And this is what a good leader is going to do. A good leader is going to get this self discipline that says, I'm going to control something. Maybe I can't control my family right now. Maybe I can't control, my job, the people around me, but I can control my thoughts. And so I'm going to do that. I'm going to write down what I want to be thinking. You're going to focus this week on what your thoughts are doing. So after you've written them down, you're going to look over them. Yours are going to look different than mine. Obviously, whatever you want to be focusing on, that's what you're going to write down. But you're going to focus after you've done that this week on what your thoughts are doing. So you're going to discipline your thoughts. Don't let them wander. Don't let the negative thoughts stay in your head. You're going to replace them with positive, encouraging thinking. It's like K-Love radio. It's like positive, encouraging music for the whole family or something. But anyways, it's like K-Love, but without like all the pledge drives. Okay. So anyways, I'm just went off on a rabbit trail. But you're going to focus your thoughts. See, I let my thoughts wander. You're going to focus your thoughts on those positive things and don't let them wander. Then the second part. So there's a couple action steps here. Then you're going to plan your schedule, your week, based on what you just wrote down. Do not write your plan for the week after you've just spent 10 minutes being down on yourself, thinking about all your failures, all the things you messed up on, all the ways that you're a loser. Then plan your week. Do not do that. You're going to write down your thoughts that you want to be thinking, and then you're going to write down your schedule for the week. You're going to talk positively to yourself. You're going to pump yourself up. This week is going to be awesome. I am believing God for like amazing things. Like imagine what God can do this week. Like he can do anything. I could meet the perfect client this week. What if tomorrow I am going to meet somebody who's going to change everything? What if? I always say, if you're going to be hypothetical with your thoughts, you might as well be positive. It's hypothetical, which means it's not real yet. So if you're going to be hypothetical, you could either be hypothetical, like, I'm probably going to like fall down the stairs tomorrow and break my leg and like end up in the hospital. And like, that's hypothetical. Or I can also be hypothetical and say, maybe I'm going to meet the person who's going to be my next best friend, who's going to be an incredible business partner. We're going to start a company together and we're going to like change the world. Like it's hypothetical, but you might as well go there. So that's what I want you to do. Okay. So that's your action step for this first point. It's going to be fast. We're fast this week. Okay. Number 2, you are going to, what did I say number 1 was? Number 1, because I know you were paying attention, take control of your days, which I just showed you how to do with your thoughts and your actions. Okay. Number 2, look for unexpected opportunities. All right. I love this one because being a leader means you're able to be flexible. Now, understand what the difference is, okay? To be a good leader, you have to find a really good balance between being secure in where you are and who you are, but also being flexible enough to be like, I need to move now and I need to pivot and I need to do something a little bit different. That's being a good leader. It's finding a balance. It's not being stuck in your ways and saying, this is where I am. This is the job that I have. It works just fine. I'm going to be here for the rest of my life. But it's also not being like, every time you see like a new opportunity, you're like, oh, I'll take this. No, I'll take that. No, I'll take that. That's not good either. It's finding a balance of being steadfast and like secure and firm in where you are, but also looking for opportunities that you aren't necessarily expecting and looking for ways that you can change things to make your life better and to please God better. James 1:6 tells us, this is in reference to prayer for wisdom, that when you're asking, you should ask in faith with nothing wavering, because whoever wavers is like the waves of the sea. There's like lots of waves in here, like the waves of the sea tossed about. Can you picture what that looks like? Now, I like being in the water. I love being on the boat. Like, oh my word, I wish I was on a boat right now, but it just snowed yesterday. Anyway, I'm like going off, but like, I love when there's calm, gentle waves in the boat and you're just sitting on the boat and you're just like rocking back and forth. That's great. This is in reference to being like all over the place, having no anchor, a storm's probably brewing, and your boat's flying everywhere. Nobody wants to be like that. Nobody likes that. That's what you're being like when you are looking at this, then changing your mind about that, and looking over here and changing about that. That's not what we want to be doing. Proverbs 16 tells us that we're the ones that plan the steps, our steps in our heart, but the Lord is the one who ultimately directs our steps. So he's the one that's actually going to be allowing us to go where he wants us to go. And it might not be at the same place. It might be different, but we have to be open and looking for opportunities while still being firmly planted exactly where we are. We're willing to change our steps in whatever direction we have to go, but we're not all over the place. There are many times in my life where I was like, I thought that I was doing a specific thing for a specific reason, but really I was doing this specific thing for a reason that God had a completely different plan for. So I have done many different ministries, many different businesses. I've done a lot of things. I've started things and all kinds of stuff. I had a very successful photography business for a lot of years. And when I started photography, I thought that it was for photography. I thought it was because I liked that creative side. I liked being able to provide financially for the family. I liked meeting people. And so I just thought, this is what I'm doing. It's my business. It's my photography business. And I did all different kinds of things with weddings and family sessions and newborns and all that stuff. Two interesting things came out of that had nothing to do with photography. One was that I met a girl from Germany who had just moved here and she had basically no friends. We ended up connecting because of photography. I never would have met her if it wasn't for my business. And a year later or 2 years later, I can't remember how long it was, she accepted Jesus. So I'm thinking, okay, this is so cool. God has me doing this photography. And God's like, yeah, great, Rochelle. Anyways, your photography, but whatever. This girl needs me. And the way that I'm going to show her me is through you. So can you just do what I'm asking you to do? And then another thing is that the whole reason that I started with Q Sciences, which I love being with, is because of photography, because I was speaking at a photography conference in Georgia. So I live in New Hampshire. Was speaking at a conference in Georgia, met a girl from Texas. And that girl from Texas, I happened to be following on Instagram, and she started getting into Q. And that's how I heard about Q. So this is the thing that's so cool, is that you being where you are, working hard where you are, but looking for other opportunities that you aren't necessarily expecting and that you aren't thinking was going to come from this. This is what God can do. Like, he can do anything. So it started with a photography business for me, but it turned into something completely different that I wasn't even looking for. So always be looking, be working hard where you are, but always be looking like a little bit deeper. So say you have a temporary job or a part-time job or whatever, be good at connecting with the people that you're with during that time, because those people that you're connecting with could bring you your next business opportunity, could bring you your next ministry opportunity, could bring you your next friendship or relationship, or who knows what. So be looking for those opportunities. The other thing I wanted to talk about before I get to the action steps for this is I wanted to talk a little bit about niching down, because everyone wants to talk about having your own niche and like niching down. And that's the only way you're going to grow. And that's the only way you're going to be successful, is if your Instagram or your social media, whatever platform you use, or your website or whatever you do, is niche down to one thing. So that for me could have looked like, I'm going to niche down to photography, I guess, because that's like, I've done it for a long time. I have like experience here and I've done this and that. I always had a really hard time with niching down because I don't really necessarily agree with this. I think that some people, it's obvious that they should niche down because they have like one or two basic things that even connect together that are like, that's their thing. I mean, I follow some people on Instagram who are like all about like homesteading and like all that stuff with like farming and what they do with, how they make butter and all that stuff. And that is like, that's what they do. It's like their passion. They're like so good at it. Like, yes, that's great for them. But I just don't think that everybody is like that. And so I don't think that a good leader is going to train other people to become exactly what they think they should become, if that makes sense. So I'm going to sit here and say to you, I don't think that for me, niching down to one thing on my social media works for me. So I want to say that to you, to give you permission, if you have been feeling that same way, like, there's too many things that I love. I can't break it down to one thing. Like, there's 4 things and 2 of them are not related at all, but I love both of these things. How do I do that? I want to give you permission to be like, maybe I don't have to niche down. At the same time, maybe you really do have one thing that you're super passionate about, but the other things are just kind of wasting your time, but you're adding all those things to your social media and it's not benefiting you. Then maybe you should niche down. So does that make sense what I'm saying? You need to make sure that, yes, you're taking advice and learning, but not everyone is going to grow the same and not everyone's looking for the same thing. So instead of saying you need to find a niche and you need to stick to that niche, what I'm saying is if you have a specific niche, find what that is, figure out what that is, stick with it, get focused with it, and make that yours, like hone in on it. But if you don't, then be you. If you're crazy and all over the place, then for the love, be crazy and all over the place because that's who you are. And then you're going to attract other people who are crazy and all over the place. And maybe those are going to be like your new best friends. And that's great because there's no sense in me putting all over my social media like one thing and making it look all of this way. And then it's attracting all these people who are that way. And then I'm like, turns out that's not even who I am. I'm actually kind of crazy all over the place. So be aware that you can kind of do both. So if you were looking for help on niching down, I'm sorry, I hope I didn't let you down. Because my advice is don't niche down if that's not who you are. If it is who you are, get some self-discipline and cut out the other stuff that you don't really need and do niche down, but don't feel like you have to either way. Okay. All right. Here are the action steps. We almost done. You're making it. You're making it through. Okay. Here's the action steps from this one. The first thing, you are going to write down. I'm all about writing. You can do it on your phone, you can do it on your computer, you can do it on a notebook, whatever works for you. But there's something about hearing something, learning it, and then writing it down that is going to help you stick to it than just like listening and being like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Because 10 minutes later, you're going to forget what I said because that's how we are. Okay, so number one, you're going to write down everything you feel like you're good at. I mean, go crazy, okay? It doesn't have to be deep and life-changing. It doesn't have to be like, I am kind-hearted to the poor. It doesn't have to be that. It can be something like, I am like killer at juggling a soccer ball. I'm really good at braiding hair. I'm really good at being organized. I'm really good at cooking. It can be anything, okay? Anything that you feel like you are really, really good at, don't overthink it. Just make a list. Make a list of something you consider your strength. And that's going to come naturally. You're going to know. Like I have on the list, write down if you're really good at being organized. That's not on my list. I love being organized. I'm not good at it. So that's not mine, but write down what you're good at. Okay. So just whatever comes to your head. Now you're going to pick 2 or 3 of your top things that you think you're like the best at. Like I cook every day because I am a wife and a mom and I've had to cook every day for 23 years. I'm not like have all the best recipes and I'm not wicked good at it. So that's not my thing. I mean, I can write down that I'm good at it, but it's not like my specialty. So now you're just going to pick like 2 or 3 of your top things that you feel like you're really good at. Okay. You're going to pick the amount of time. So it can be a couple of weeks, it can be a month, whatever you decide that you're going to post about this, post about these 2 or 3 things, post about them, talk about them, write about them. You're going to this is the leadership part that comes about that I'm talking about as far as taking what you're good at and using it to serve others. Okay. You are going to I'm just gonna try to give you like an example of something that's kind of just like if I'm not making sense of what I'm saying. So something that you're really good at, say you're like, or something that you have struggled with, but now you figured out how to like deal with it. Okay. So say like you actually had to cook and when you first started you hated it, like every day of your life you're like I hate this, and then you figured something out like using the crock pot and I have these recipes, or you figured out like if I start at this time of the day then this has changed everything. So now you come up with like 3 ways that have helped you survive cooking meals every day or something like that. Okay. And this is weird that I'm picking this one because this isn't mine, so I'm maybe hoping that somebody picks up on it and gives it to me. So you're going to do that. Now this is the cool thing because you're now starting to be a leader that's saying, I'm going to develop something to give people for free. I'm going to serve people. This is the biggest thing with being a leader. When you're leading and when you're entrepreneur minded and you're a dreamer and you want to do big things, it's difficult to differentiate between focusing on the money part and focusing on the serving part. And so this is what it has to look like, where you have to be like, how can I serve people? What do people need? How can I serve people? What can I do? And you figure out how to serve them first. And then you're like, okay, is there any way in that I can also make money from it? As opposed to, I need money. It's Christmas time. Like, how am I going to make money? What can I do to make money? How can I make money? Okay, maybe I can give these people this and then I can get money. It's a completely different mindset because you've reversed it. And now you're not focusing on the serving, which is what being a good leader is being a servant leader. You're so focused on the money, and then the serving is kind of coming after. So that's not what we want to do. So you're coming up with something that's like 5 easy ways to make meal planning more fun. Okay. You're going to put it as a post. You're going to put it in a Google Doc that's downloadable. You're going to do a YouTube video about it, and it's going to be free. It's just going to be simple, basic, like here's 5 steps. Everybody can have it. That's great. Now, what if you're like, you know what? Maybe I could get into this a little bit more. Maybe I could give a few personal recipes. Maybe I could do like a one-on-one consult with somebody who wants a FaceTime that's like, can you just talk me through dinner time? And now you can say, okay, I do offer this free guide. You can go download it here. You're going to love this. It's great. If you want something a little bit deeper, that's going to cost you a little bit of money. And here it is. And that's how you're going to make a little bit of money. But you started out with serving and just saying, I know what it feels like to be stressed at dinner time. So now I'm going to serve these people. But also, if they want a little bit more, it's going to take a little bit more work from me. It's going to take a little bit more of my time. And because time is valuable and time is money, I'm going to now charge a little bit. And I'm going to be able to make a little bit of money on the side while I'm still serving people. So you're going to take those thoughts that you already had, right? And you're going to use them to create something that's duplicatable. So now when I'm saying that it's like can also be something like negative, like it can start negative. It can be like, man, I have a hard time. Like every time I go to the gym, I never know what to do. I feel anxious when I go in there. I don't know how to work out. What do I do? Well, now you're going to figure that out on your own, how you're going to do it. But in doing that, you can even start from already being not sure what you're going to do. So you can start something that's like, I'm going to do a story on my Instagram every Monday because Monday's the worst day in the gym for me. And I'm going to do a live on my Instagram every time I walk into the gym. That's like, oh my gosh, you guys, I'm here. I don't know what I'm going to do. Like, this is super stressful. Like, and that's a thing where you're serving and connecting with people who also feel that way, and you're bringing them into you. There is a time and a place that is very valuable as a leader to be vulnerable and open, because people need to see that not only are they able to overcome maybe their anxiety or their stress or their frustrations or whatever, but they also need to know that somebody else is like working through it with them too. Because it can be very intimidating if you're just like, well, this person looks like they've had it together forever. I'm not going to learn from them. I want to learn from somebody who's struggled. I want to learn from somebody who hasn't succeeded immediately every time, right? So it's beneficial to be vulnerable. You have to be, you have to be careful and cautious. And I always like tell people, don't be vulnerable about the things that could potentially hurt you with just anybody. Like, you don't want to do an Instagram live and share all your deep dark secrets and just because you're trying to be vulnerable. That's not wise. But being like that and being open like that is going to be beneficial. All of these things are growing you as a leader. It is growing you to be somebody who people are now looking up to. That's what this is about. This is what these leadership talks are about, is helping you to grow, helping you to have an action plan through the week that says, how can I grow my ministry? How can I build my business? All of these things are going to work for you for anything in being a leader, because you are growing yourself and teaching yourself and getting wisdom and learning from mistakes are all ways that you're growing and showing people what it's like to be a leader. And people are going to want to follow that. You want to be somebody who people want to follow. That's the point. And so, I hope that this has been helpful. I just wanted to make it basic and simple, with just the 2 things. It's not like a whole million things to do. I don't want to give like 1,000 action steps for the week because I don't want it to be overwhelming to you. I want it to be attainable. I want you to feel like, how can I look like a better leader next Monday than I do right now? Where am I struggling? How can I grow? And maybe your biggest struggle is taking control of your thoughts. And this week is going to be great for you because we're being hypothetically positive and we're saying, dang, man, this is going to be the best week of your life. Like, I just feel it. Like, I know it is. Like, it's going to be so good. Okay, so you're going to take control of your thoughts. And then you're going to be looking for these unexpected opportunities. You're going to be like, hey, I'm going to build this and I'm going to offer this cooking thing or this gym thing or this or whatever. And who knows if, because we're hypothetically positive again, who knows if that by doing that, some whole other opportunity is going to come up for you because you're being faithful and consistent in what you're doing in this situation in your life and in this opportunity that you have in front of you. So those are the two things I want you to work on. You can always message me if you have any questions. If you follow me on Instagram, I try to check on YouTube. I don't go on YouTube a ton, so as far as like looking up the comments, and sometimes I get messages, I'm not even sure how to do that. But Instagram and Facebook, you can always message me. I'm happy to talk to anybody about anything that I talked about tonight. I want to help you grow, because the more servant leaders that we have in this world, the better, right? That's what we need. So why don't you start this week by being one of them? We'll talk to you next week.